Hey, it's Sick Boy from the Gaming Anarchist Collective, and this is a little bit of a standalone video that I've been asked to do by a few people, and I just want to cover the issue of net neutrality. Now, this is something that people should be rightly concerned about. Now, this is exclusively so far an issue with the US, but of course this is going to set a precedent, and this is what is bullshit for the rest of the world. Because often when it comes to these kind of laws, the US leads, the rest of the West tends to follow, which is fucking stupid. They should think for themselves. However, the issue being that previously the US government had put in place regulations, say the FCC. Now, the FCC are generally the people who are screwing over the consumers by restricting them. However, in this case, they are looking out for you against corporate interests. Corporate interests are that they, your internet service provider, should be able to dictate the speed and accessibility of net traffic to different sites. That would allow them to ask Google, Facebook, whatever, for subsidies in order to prioritise their traffic. That means that, for example, up-and-coming websites will struggle with bandwidth. Also, being as we're going more and more into a streaming society, so much stuff, I have downgraded the amount of things that I buy with regards to films and TV shows because I utilise Amazon Prime and Netflix. I like the fact that I can get, even things I have already on Blu-ray or DVD, I can pick them up on Netflix. Now, what is holding those things back, really, one is long-term leasing of the titles, because you can have a film that you like and it can leave from Netflix to never return. So I think there should be some kind of a long-term or perpetual licensing. Secondly, the issue is they cannot stream in sufficient bandwidth in order to allow high-def streaming. Now, what if they turned around and said, well, Netflix, you pay X amount, we will prioritise your stream so that you can have high-def streaming. Now, but what if they don't pay that money? What if they're not willing to? What if, for example, different companies that you like to use, what if you're someone like me who uploads videos onto YouTube and they can throttle that communication? Say that they would say, well, for the sake of Google, we'll prioritise streaming to your machine, however you want to upload to it. Now, I already find that my upload speeds in the UK are capped when they shouldn't be. They are being throttled. I should be getting, in theory, I should be on 100 meg speed broadband. What I'm getting upload-wise is about 2.5, 3 megabytes. Right? That's bollocks. That is throttling. Now that they can get away with on the grounds that it's prioritising ingoing and outgoing traffic. Now they can do exactly the same thing by prioritising certain net services. This is one of those things that US citizens should be fighting against. This is the kind of thing that allows corporations. Now, I know that in America that you have a very ingrained issue against big government. I know big government is something that you consider very wary because of the history of the nation. How your culture evolved is through rejecting a big government that was governing you from afar. I understand that's very much part of your ethos. So even more so, that makes sense that you, however, in this instance, your government is looking out for you. This is a situation where big government is to your benefit because you are better off in a heavy democracy than you are in a corporatocracy. Because then things are only valuable provided that they are profit to the corporations. Now that doesn't work. Capitalism doesn't function through desire. It functions through what is the most profitable service. What is the most profitable way of going? And in this instance, the most profitable way of going is to charge other companies. Now, what's to say they won't then turn around and start charging you for video streaming packages, for high-speed download packages, not just bandwidth, but on specific sites. Also, what's to stop them just saying, I don't like any torrent, legal or illegal. No, we're going to throttle all torrent services. They could well do that. Now, that's shite. That is abject shite, and you should not be accepting it. Realistically, with something like the internet, we really have a problem that We've become a global community, the internet. We are globally. Whoever you are listening to this, you could be anywhere on this planet, and I could be talking to you. Now that means that we shouldn't be having regionalised laws when it comes to how the internet functions. Really. It should be. Now I know people don't like this because people are very much nationalistic, and I understand, but when it comes to global information services, these things should very much be a global matter. You shouldn't have different countries. That's why copyright law is such a pisser. But you already think now you just get websites, you just get ISPs over in in other countries blocking things like Pirate Bay because they can't shut down Pirate Bay because under Sweden they don't recognise copyright laws in the same way that other countries do. So what happens? Then people just use VPNs, they circumvent it, and they get there anyway. There are proxy websites for getting to these torrent sites. They can't stop it. But there we go, they just keep trying to jump around and change things around. So in the UK, they're having an opt-into porn option. So ISPs, when they detect that you're accessing adult content, they'll ask you whether you want it blocked or not. Now, at least you have the choice to say, no, I want to keep my porn, or actually, yes, I'd like to have the restrictions. But this is a problem. And it is difficult when you have countries that have a much stronger stranglehold. You look at someone like China, they have a huge amount of censorship online. And you'd think that the West would have less. But generally, it's just somewhat more cloak and dagger that you don't really know. And issues like this are so complicated because these corporate organisations are global entities. Corporatocracies are global. They are not national. That is why they base in so many different countries. Trust me, worked in enough corporations that I know they base their head offices where is best for tax laws, where is best for employment issues, and they deal with these things. That's why, for example, you can have Amazon can be based in the UK, can be in the UK, can make absolute millions and millions of revenue, but they base themselves in Luxembourg where they don't pay tax. They can take advantage of the fact that these national laws are fucking dumb, and they are cleverer and they are quicker than the lawmakers. And that is why these nationalised systems are fucking stupid. And that is why whenever one country comes along and tries to impose a law, or one company comes along and tries to throttle one nation's laws, they're trying to set precedents. They are trying to control everything. Because with the control comes the money. Don't fucking stand for it. Do your best to keep communication free. Now, these things aren't free, granted, because you do have to pay for your service provider and everything, but it's like saying keeping water free. This is about the flow. It is about the supply. Granted, you have to pay to get it, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't have free access to it. Obviously, when I say free access, it should be accessible to you. Not as in the way that it's accessible for no money. Of course, we do live in a world where you have to pay for shit. That's a reality. So, get pissed off about this. Seriously, write to your cable service provider and tell them that you want them to write a letter to Congress and say, actually, we don't agree with this. Tell them that you don't want to work with them anymore. If they're part of this bill, if they're one of the companies that were in part of overturning this law that removed regulations from them, to say, you are bullshit and I don't want anything to do with you. Because you know what? If we stand tall and we don't work with these people, other companies that will work with us on our terms will spring up. Because business does what's profitable. And if you can dictate the terms of what is profitable, you can control, even as a small consumer, we can control the direction of the market. They don't have to tell us what to do. We, as a collective, can tell them.